Happy Monday, everyone. It's Phil from Start to Go Up, your personal startup whisperer. And on today's episode, I'll be talking about something that impacts everyone at some point in their career. Definitely, especially in startups. So please pay attention, and I hope this helps. Let's go.
Shout out to the dead, now I flex. Whoa, shout out to the dead, to the dead, to the dead.
That's right. We're talking about
Layoffs.
Ooh, scary stuff, right? But no need to worry. We'll go deeper into this topic and how you can actually minimize the risk of getting fired. Even though it's a very current topic, it's March 2023 when I'm filming this video. I don't know when you're watching it, future you, but this will still be a topic in 5 or 10 years. It's mostly because of the nature of startups, right? They need money. They do. They need money. When there's a lot of money in the markets, they get easy funding. Easy funding, leads to startups being a little bit cocky. They expand all over the world. They hire like crazy because obviously in 1 or 2 years they'll be double, triple, 10x the size. And this means a lot of hiring, right? So hypergrowth. But when the markets are rough, when it's very expensive to get capital, like it is at the moment, then startups are worried that they won't get any more cash. So they are a little bit more focused on optimization, right? That means hiring freezes, layoffs, our topic of the day, and other types of cuts, right? And this happens on a cyclical basis. So it's like hypergrowth, then optimization, then hypergrowth. And that's why startups sometimes do feel like roller coasters. And that's why we love them, right? That's why we love the startups. Never change. In the past 4 years, I actually survived 3 big layoffs in different companies. I do focus on this topic a lot personally. I have a family to maintain, so I don't want to get fired. That would suck. I think I'll do this in 2 parts. So in this first video, and the one that you're watching right now, I'll be talking about how can you minimize the risk of even joining a company that might fire you in the near future. So in the next 1 or 2 years. And in the next video, so the next one, not this one, the next one, I'll be talking about how you can focus on minimizing the risk while you are already working in a company, right? So what are day-to-day things that you can do to be a good boy and to not get fired? Congratulations, you've decided to change your job. Yes. Everything will be better at this new job, right? At least that's what we have in our minds. Now, that might be true, but before even changing your job, please think about these 3 areas or these 3 topics to look deeper into before joining that company. Number 1, the economic environment. The economic environment before joining a company should be stable, ideally, and not negative. Like the ideal case scenario is like it's positive, right? You are in this like hyper growth phase where everybody's getting a lot of funding, everybody's raising. It feels like everybody will have money forever, right? Those are the good times. That's the ideal time to change a company because then you can probably join it. Everybody has money, everybody's optimistic. There's just opportunities everywhere. How can you make sure to actually know that it's like a positive environment? So overall, just like the press itself, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you start reading like, a lot about layoffs, if you start reading about, these companies are going down, this was a huge failure. Everyone is like, yes, everybody's failing. Okay, that's a negative economic environment. It doesn't mean that you should not change just because of it. You should just be aware that it's going to be riskier and your little antennas, your spidey senses should be on high alert from day one. Okay, you checked the economic environment. You made a decision based on that. That's great. I applaud you for your confidence. Now the next level will be to discuss, okay, is this company, the company itself, going to survive difficult times? And the best way to do this is during the interview process, right? That's the moment where you can get as much information as possible before joining. And you should understand like how healthy this company is and what are the probabilities of this company being a success, and if not a success for your own career. This just means that, like in general, it's going to be alive long enough for you to develop inside of it. So what are a few questions that you could ask a company during the interview process to check if it's healthy or not? You could just like first understand more about the business model, right? How do they plan to make money right now versus in the coming like 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Is that like an idea, or has it already been validated, right? So at what stage is it? Is it like at seed, Series A, Series B? So depending on in which series of funding it is, you should understand like, okay, what are going to be the difficulties, right? During seed, it's probably they're trying to get like to product market fit or just validate the idea. If it's Series A, they have to like show that they can scale. So based on these things, just try to understand like, okay, is this company like in a good place right now? Obviously, you could go even deeper. You could ask like, okay, what is the runway? What do we mean by runway? Runway just means like, okay, how long do they have until the money runs out? Simple, right? And it's usually going to be something like 1 to 2 years, maybe even less, depending on when you have the interview, right? How soon ago the funding round was. Ideally, you join just after a funding round. Best place, best time to join. If not, like just make sure that they have enough in the bank, or that they already have like a next funding plan, right? And that they are doing it with same investors, or like in general, that they have like a plan on how they get more money. You're probably wondering like, oh, Phil, that's like very personal. Can I ask that to a company? You can, and you should. Like seriously, if you're not asking these questions, you're going in blind, and they can still, and they will probably bullshit a little bit, so they will make everything a little bit more rosy than what it actually is. But at least then, you asked, and worst case scenario, they lied to your face. But best case scenario, you just get like a snapshot on where the company is at the moment. So don't worry about asking, just ask. Worst case scenario, you don't get the job, and then you anyhow don't want to work for a company that isn't transparent. Okay, so you check the economic environment, and it looks good, right? Or at least you said like, okay, it doesn't look good, but the company's looking good, right? The company has a lot of money, and like they're growing, and I like them. The leadership is good. Like, I'm gonna join this company. Before you do, please dig deeper into the position that you're going to fulfill. That's right. The company can be great, but maybe your position or the team you're about to join is shit, right? And this happens much more easily than you can imagine, especially during hypergrowth. That's when you should be the most concerned about this, because it could be that it's a new position. So check it out if this is like a new team versus like an established team. A new team would be like expansion. Expansion is like the best example, because expansion is one of these things that everybody wants to focus on if they get a lot of money. If they don't have a lot of money, or if money is running out, then expansion is usually one of the things that they might cut, right? The first thing that you should ask about the position that you're about to join, is it a nice to have? Is it a luxury in the company? Are you like this random, very specific niche position that got made so, like your manager doesn't have to do some extra work? Or is it actually like,
oh my god, thank God that you're joining, because without you, we would have been dead.
There's two very different like outcomes on both of these positions, right? Obviously, you cannot always be the savior, right? But ideally, you join a company and you can have like direct impact right away. So think about as well, like what would be your progression in this position if you start in like a mid-level or lower seniority. But if you start as a junior, could you see yourself growing into a senior, or even like a head off or a next level? Or like if you're joining already something pre-senior, like are there any leadership opportunities in there? Think about the budget for your team. Think about like the growth opportunity. And if all of that seems positive, great, continue. continue with your research. Is this going to be a tough one? Could be that they're paying you shit tons of money, right? But if you and your targets are not set up for success, then that money is going to be irrelevant if you get fired in the next 3 to 4 months, right? So it's better to join a company when the economic environment is positive, the company is set up for success, and the position and yourself are set up for success. That would be the ideal way for you not to get fired in the next 2 years after joining. It's not a given, right? Let's just make this clear right here already. You can be fired at any point in any time. Always. Everyone is replaceable, and startups are just chaotic and crazy. Leadership in general in startups is sometimes not super experienced, so they do drastic decisions. And you can be part of that drastic decision if you're lucky. So definitely consider all of these tips before joining a company, and I can assure you that the chances will be lower. It doesn't take them away completely, but at least you can sleep at night. And if you get fired, at least you know that there was nothing in your power that you could have done. That being said, my next video does discuss how you can work inside of a company to minimize your risk during layoffs. I hope you watched that one as well. And yeah, if you have any tips on what else to research before joining a company, feel free to comment below. I know the community would appreciate it, would appreciate your contribution. So thank you again for watching, and see you on the next video. Bye.